You can tell our friends, and they can have my things when we're dead. But we gonna live forever. We gonna live forever.
Welcome to the Boyscast with Ryan Long, first podcast exclusively for the boys, still for the boys. Boys. Year of the boys. I'm thinking of making that shirt. Me and Johnny, the guy who does my merch, Cheers for Cheap, we talked about doing a Year of the Boys shirt. Today, I have a conversation with Yannis Pappas, and I'm sure that a lot of you know who he is. History Hyenas, among a million other things. He's had this huge long career, and I did a video with him, the lesbian conversion treatment. And I thought he was one of those guys that when I edited the video, a lot of times you're like looking for takes where it's him. It was like so easy to edit because he was so funny. I was editing it being like, yo, Yannis is funny, dude. So he's been very cool to me since I moved to New York. Hilarious guy. And before I start, just want to say, have 2 dates, Orlando and Tampa, coming up if you want to check them out. And because we leave for Miami and we're going to be there for a month and hopefully we'll be adding more stuff. Also, this episode is sponsored by Forbidden Clothes, still Forbidden Clothes Week. And we did so much numbers apparently that it like broke their site, and I got a million messages being like, I can't buy the shirts, and his site was down and all that stuff. So that's all back up and running. So if you do want to buy the shirts, they've got a whole bunch of stuff. Promo code Ryan10, Forbidden Clothes Week. And this is my conversation with one of the funniest people in the world, Yannis Pappas. Here with Yanni P. We made it.
What's up, Ryan Long? How are you?
Yeah, buddy. And you were just in Miami. I'm going there tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just in Miami. It's wide open. Yeah, I mean, it's Schultz is down there, and every month you spend in Miami, you lose one button on your shirt. You just slowly open your shirt until it's completely open. When you see a white guy with like a completely open shirt in Miami, that means the guy's been there 6 months, and he's left his family, and he's now doing lots of cocaine.
That's a lifer. We have an office. Me and Danny have an office in that Schultz building.
Oh yeah, that's a great studio down there. That's a great building.
Cool?
Yeah, very cool. Danny had a fucking sick tweet today that made me laugh hard about Dr. Seuss. It's real funny.
Oh, I think I saw that too. He said that. What was it? Do you remember?
He said he didn't think Dr. Seuss was deserved to get canceled till he saw his book, the bike and the kike on the bike.
Kike on a bike. He had an okay one yesterday too, where he said that because of WMXN, he was like, all I know is that WMXN belong in the kitchen. He's killing it.
Yeah, it's so fun how much the country has gone off the reservation. It's actually, at first I was like, I get angry at it. Now I'm like, you know what? This is the best thing that ever happened to comedy is how crazy people are. We have so much to make fun of.
Yeah, I saw that you posted with, I think it was Zuby, and he was like, white people need to stop doing this. And you're like, yeah, don't stop. It's hilarious. Please
don't stop. Yeah, it's really funny. Please don't stop. Yeah, he was saying, can white people stop apologizing for being white? And I was like, no, please continue. We are a monolith. We're all guilty. You know, we all think alike. We're all evil. Please keep it going. Treat us like the Israelites treat white people when they pass in the street, and stop to listen to their ranting.
I kind of have this argument with people a lot, because a lot of times you'll have people that are like, oh, you're so mad at this stuff. Like, why do you care? And I'm like, no, I'm not mad. I think it's hilarious.
Right, right.
Yeah, there is. You see people that they're like fired up. And maybe, I'd say maybe there was like a minute in like 2016 where I was like, yo, this stuff's the worst. And then because, you like lose a few jobs and you don't get, and then but then very, very quickly I was just like, oh no, this is hilarious. And then, so it's like, I'm not talking about it on stage. I'm talking about it on stage because it's funny to me.
Yeah. It's, like the political correctness and the wokeness. It's funny how I started to learn about it, because I've said so many crazy things as a comic. I didn't, and I come from New York. Like, I was born in Brooklyn, so kids are brutal to each other when we're a kid. I mean, I grew up with, my neighborhood was like it was white, Puerto Rican, black, Jewish. I grew up with everything.
Yeah,
and that's how we were friends. Was we made fun of each other's cultures. Like, if you called your Muslim friend like a muzzy, or that means he was your friend. So the way I learned about woke culture was kind of like I assumed the way someone coming out of a coma kind of learns about technology. I was like slowly going, "What's going on? Oh wow, it was like disorienting and weird and strange and foreign."
Yeah, no, it's fun because you've been on the road again, right?
I'm just starting right now, and I'm ready for that fucking Brazilian strain. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I took down that fucking Wuhan strand. Now I want that Brazilian shit. It better have a fat ass and be what Bang Brothers advertises.
I felt like that when I was going on the road again, because that was one thing doing comedy. You kind of just live on the internet too much. And I guess everyone's just not people. When I was back on the road, you kind of are like, oh, here's the sensitive things and whatever. I'm still going to talk about them. But then what I forgot was the like dynamic of normal humans when you go, no, if there's a table of like Indian dudes, they can't wait for you to make fun of them. Like I had a bunch of Hasidic dudes. There was like 4 of them. And I kind of talk about that stuff a bit. And then they were like, yo, do more of it. And then when they came up to me after the show, they're like, we were dying. And it's like, they're like, do us. They can't wait for you to do their group. It's not the opposite where they're like, I hope he doesn't touch our Indian stuff. Right. You know, it's the opposite. If you do Pakistan, they're like, yeah, but do Indian. And then they go, oh, that's my dad. You know, they like can't wait.
Yeah, they're the only people who are upset. The only Indians that are upset about jokes that you make about Indian are Indians who can't afford to get into the comedy show. Because I'll tell you what, there's not too many Indians who can't afford because they're fucking crushing it. And yeah, when you see them live, they're like, yeah, make jokes about us because we're doing great. You're punching up because we make more money than you do.
Yeah, it's also inclusive. I used to do that joke. Like I don't think said it in America because in Canada we have so many Indian dudes. So when I kind of the way that you have like Latinos and you go to watch comedy clubs and everyone's talking about that, and I'm kind of a little bit like, I guess, you know how every Latino does this, and I go, we don't really have those. Like, do they? You just have to take their word for it. But in Canada we have so many Indian dudes, and a lot of times the comedy club would just be like 40 like finance frat dude, like Indian, just rocking out, you know what I mean? Just doing coke in the bathroom type of dudes, finance bros, but Indian. And I used to do that a lot. Like a lot of white girls would be like, oh, you got to feel sorry for this guy. And the guy's like, I make $200,000 a year and I have 9 of your friends on my boat tomorrow. So
yeah, usually Canada's a little bit behind the United States culturally, but it seems like your confident Indian guys are a couple of years ahead of ours.
Yeah, our confident Indian guys are rocking out. They go 2 ways in Canada. So half the Indian dudes, there's certain ones that kind of go computer Asian. So there's but that's not that many. Like there's a few Indian dudes that sort of become like, gamer guys or whatever, that kind of guy. But for the most part, you either go full finance like frat dude, or they go like gangster, like, which is kind of what more your Latinos do. They go closer to the black guys where they, urban, like rap music, love the Toronto Raptors. DJ Khaled.
Do they keep, when they go gangster, do they keep the headpieces?
No, barely any Indian guys rock the headpieces. But it is always fun. It's always cool when what was that band Das Racist? It was like a rap group and the guy wore the turban. Like there was a market for like a cool, like there was a bunch of these like tattooed turban guys popping up. And I think girls were digging the tattooed turban guy.
They were, except for like that super fan at the Toronto Raptors games. He's an Indian dude. He's like the most
super
famous fan.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah, and he rocks the turban hard. He represents.
I don't think that guy's the sex symbol that I'm talking about.
Right, yeah. But he has sex symbol money. I'll tell you that because he's got front row fucking seats.
Well,
Yeah.
So he runs a bunch of car dealerships. It's funny because there was a few things where when this stuff was all he runs. I
forgot
dealer.
I forgot in Canada your benefits make you rich.
Yeah, when this guy how there'll be like one thing where someone said something to Superfan on like an Instagram and every story was like racism against Superfan, blah blah, and then. Basically, so every blog was like, everyone's being racist against Superfan and he's the best guy ever. And it was like, let's not forget that this guy made his fortune scamming you. Like, he's legitimately a used car dealer. The amount of people that fucking walked away from the dealership with just a hoopty, the wheels falling off so he can buy his Raptors tickets.
His job is literally the job that they named slimy business people after.
He's the cliche slime ball. It's
so funny. I didn't know that. I thought he was probably like a hedge fund guy, like I guess that's funny. I was stereotyping him.
Yeah.
I was stereotyping. I was going, he's probably some fucking hedge fund Indian guy who's smarter than me, went to McGill and speaks French Canadian. You gotta call it French Canadian. You gotta call it French Canadian because I know you may have some French fans and they want to distinguish. They want to say, those are not French people. We're French people.
Yeah, they don't. They're a different breed. The Quebec Gua people, they're always trying to get out of Canada every 15 years. They're like, we're getting out of here. The way that I guess Texas is here. But yeah, that guy had essentially a used car dealership with his face on it, like Bapin Depara's car dealership or whatever.
That's hilarious.
I assume he inherited it. I don't know.
Yeah. So he was
his kids will be that because he's an immigrant, right? The kids, like his kids for sure are like probably finance bros. Yeah. That would be my guess.
They're the confident douchebags who come to your shows and when you're in the T-Dot.
Yeah, just rocking out. And I always find, this is what I always say culturally, they're at an advantage in the same way that other races are with each other. Indian dudes are at an advantage because they think like a 7 out of 10 white girl's hotter. The way that, and I don't mean it because I mean it that we're like that too. We're all see like a black chick and I'll be like, oh, that girl's hot. And my black friends will be like, what? She hasn't got an ass? Like that girl's a 7. Because we just like have different cultural tastes. So there's all these like, I'll find like Indian dudes will be like, that girl's smoking. I'm like, that is a basic like average girl, sort of bad skin. And they'll be, so they get, if you're like a finance Indian bro with money, you just have the pick of the 7s. And in your mind, it's like Shallow Hal, where their mind, it's all 10s.
It's funny. Yeah. Cause when like culturally, we all kind of like different things. There's no, I mean, stereotypes come from somewhere. And like, black dudes do like a thicker girl typically, and I think that's my theory. That's my theory why Jessica Krug, like Jessica La Bomballera, which is my favorite, and Rachel Dolezal, I think they were able to get away with it for so long because
the body type.
Yeah, black dudes just couldn't see past the fat ass. It's like the Yankee pinstripes. It just blinds you, and they're like, oh, she's got to be black because look at that fat ass.
Do you want to know my theory about it?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I think it comes from, and this is probably something wrong with what I'm saying, but I think that because black girls are, I bet it's a little firmer. So when you get a white girl that's really fat, she starts to look more sloppy. So I think, so we have more of a disdain because, you grew up, if your mom gets fat, it's fat, but I think that even like the same way black guys can be like cooler when they're fat because it's not as like rolly. It's a little bit more of a firmer fat. So that's why it starts to, the big asses. Whereas like if in the white bodies, if they start to get fat, it just starts to get like sloppy.
Yeah, but I think that comes from the place that we're talking about, that me and you just don't want to fuck black chicks, where the black dudes will be like, I want to fuck her. She just looks sloppy.
I like black chicks, but
but no,
a bit of everything.
The fat white girl looks sloppy to you, but there's some black dude who'll be like, he'll make that wifey. Yeah,
loves it. Yeah,
loves it.
Well, we have a chat group with like some of my boys in Toronto, like comedians, and this black dude Anthony, he's pretty hood dude, like went to jail and stuff. Every second day, I would say, he sends us a message in the group being like, yo, you seen this new comic? She's fine. And all of us are like, that girl's disgusting. Like, are you crazy? Yeah. This is a legitimate 7.
And then you said that like a skinny white girl, you're like, look at how hot she is. He's like, are you crazy? That bitch got no meat on her.
In our mind, in his mind, I sent him a picture of olive oil from Pappas.
Black dudes treat the women they like when somebody gets disappointed about the portions at a restaurant. They're like, that's it? Fucking. I mean, come on. That's skimpy.
That's funny. Yo, you've been doing I almost like don't like it because you've been you and Tim Dillon and some other people have been trying to make Clubhouse happen, and I'm like, yo, stop making this a thing. But I saw the funniest ones. What was your thing? Big Pharma behind fat and proud celebrities.
Yeah.
And then, is it racist to not be racist? Did you get to the bottom of the fat and proud celebrities on the topic of fats?
I got to the bottom of it, but I figured it out. I mean, I'll tell you, I figured out who was behind like Lizzo and Lena Dunham They are being paid surreptitiously. They're being sponsored. They're being sponsored by Big Pharma. Those are commercials for Big Pharma. They basically want the obese and proud celebrity to make everyone feel like their body type's okay, so then they can sell their cardiovascular medication to them later in life when their fucking heart collapses and they need all the medications. So they are behind the positive body image fucking Instagram accounts. And then COVID was the fitness industry's reaction to that to try to get people to slim down. So actually it was the fitness industry that created COVID to scare people into getting into shape. So it's been a war between pharma and the fitness industry behind closed doors.
I didn't know the fitness industry was run by Asians.
Dude, it's a proxy war because it's a proxy war because they both got nukes, so it's mutually assured destruction. So they know that they can't have an all-out war or the whole world will die. So they're doing it through these outlets, through these channels.
It's good going up to like a really fat chick and calling her a puppet for Big Pharma.
You're like, come on, you're getting a paycheck from Johnson & Johnson, right? There's no way you could be this happy about being this fat. You're a fucking circle. You look like a fucking satellite.
You're in on this. Is that girl a little, is she kind of working with Big Pharma?
Dude, I'm telling you, man, I mean, it's in their best interest to keep us all fat and out of shape. They sell a lot of pills to people like that.
Yeah, that's with everything, right? That's the what is it? 60% of women are on all sorts of medications.
Yes, I mean, you can't deny that it's in their interest for us to at least not be okay.
Yeah,
their whole industry is like, is there something wrong with you? Please let there be something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a video that probably is coming out next week. It's a therapist that tells the world to change. So it's like, the girl comes in and she's kind of like, oh, I'm I did it with Corinne, and then she's like, oh, I'm lonely. And the therapist is like, have you tried writing a letter on the internet telling what men could do differently? It's all just the removal of accountability, but it's that. It's like, remove all the stuff and then we can pump you full and cha-ching. There's a conspiracy that the same thing's happening with the trans stuff, that because all these places have the patent on all the trans medications.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have an interest in it. I mean, there's definitely an interest. You don't know, and why not? Why not? We live in an era where you don't need evidence, or you don't even need to be a journalist to write about something. So here you heard it from me first, and I am self-proclaimed journalist, and I've done absolutely no time in the field, and I have no data to back up what I'm saying. So that's why you should enjoy it, because it's controversial.
I think that, well, to be honest, that to me is like what all this is happening. Because really, if you're talking about that stuff, I would think it's probably closer to Never Let a Good Tragedy Go to Waste, where it's like the companies see, they're like, oh, this fat thing, like, and then they throw flame on it because they're like, we can profit on this. Probably, some of these things start organically, but then everyone gets their grubby paws on it or whatever. But that's what these journalists do. They look at things that kind of happen and they go, do what you just did, where they go, this is because of this. And you go, it wasn't because of that. It's just there are two things that are also happening. And yeah, that's like, but there's
right. They can't just go and sponsor the dollar menu. They can't do that, but they can certainly encourage it behind closed doors. Let's keep that going. It's a very good thing for our business. Yeah. Let's keep girls on. What was it called? What was Lena Dunham's show? Girl Hatton. What was it fucking called?
Girls. Yeah.
Girl, fat,
Voice
confident
of our
girl.
generation.
Yeah, they're like, keep that on. Keep another couple seasons. Nobody's watching. Like, keep it on. Here's another couple million to make people believe that people are watching that shit.
That was the voice of the generation for the fat, gross community.
Yes, and we can say that about her because she once supported Homolka, whatever her name was. What was her name again? Homolka.
She supported Carla Homolka?
She supported Carla Homolka. She made a joke.
Oh, I think
she
you
made
said
a joke.
that.
Yeah. Remember we talked about that on Hyenas. She made a joke, and so if you try to fucking come at us, Lena Dunham, we got some fucking cancel ammunition right back at you, bitch.
What's she doing now? Me and Kurt, I did Kurt Masker's podcast, and he's always talking trash about that show. But I think the funniest thing was she did this vote rap. So it was a rap for to vote for Hillary. And she legitimately raps, and she's like, Hillary is the baddest girl. Like, it's so crazy. And Charlemagne the God's in it.
I think I saw it, and it's cringeworthy. You know, I actually thought Girls was funny when it started. What's it called? Girl? Yeah, I thought it was funny when it started, like at the beginning, and then because I thought it was kind of a little bit of a parody of that, and then it started to kind of take itself too seriously, like all that ethos, that kind of whole era kind of did, and it kind of just, I think it just jumped the shark. But at the beginning,
always, yeah.
Always. I mean, it's like that's like the human condition. That's like our big flaw. Is like we just can't stop. It's like we never know when to just be like, that's enough. It's like, you know, it's like just keep. We're like the original woke people are like the original alt comics, like David Cross. They were actually good, and then now it's like we got to cancel Dr. Seuss. Like we're all the way down to fucking Dr. Seuss.
Dr. Seuss was getting it today.
Yeah, because the people that followed those people just. You know, they're doing it. They're just charlatans. They're just doing it so they have a raison d'etre. It's like they don't have any skills, so they're just fucking doing it because it's the only job they can get. And so now they're fucking finding. I mean, what adults are sifting through fucking Dr. Seuss? Because it was it was some young single kids who were like, what they do is the way we brainstorm comedy, the woke crowd gets together and like, okay. What do you got for me? It's like they have a journalist thing, and they're like, Dr. Seuss. I read one Dr. Seuss. There's the character in there that could be construed as a stereotype. And they're like, good, let's run with it. It's like that. They do the same shit we do when we fucking brainstorm for jokes. They're just brainstorming for someone to fucking cancel so they can be the one to do it. So they don't have to look in the mirror and say, Jesus Christ, I don't know how to code and I'm not funny. This is the only job I can do.
Yeah, they workshop it on their blogger friends.
Yeah.
Chocolate's racist. Is that something? Does that work? Does that cancel it?
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts, man. It's absolutely and it's because humanity just doesn't know when to stop. Like it's like, okay, dude, you won. It's like gay marriage, like you guys won. You don't gotta like kiss naked in the street, outside my window. I support you. Like trans people, I support you. I'm such a socially liberal person. Like I'll put G.I. Joe figures in my ass and march with you. Like I don't care whatever you need me to do. But it's like, if you want me to pretend that 6'8" lacrosse player who just transitioned last week, is maybe not supposed to be on the field with my girlfriend. Who shouldn't be in college either, and that's a shout out to fucking recent news stories. Then I can't do that. I can't pretend that I don't see that.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like you're supposed to pretend things aren't funny when they're funny. It's like I always said, like there was this really huge guy. He was like, this bodybuilder guy, and he came out of the closet, and we're like, that's pretty funny. And this girl's like, I mean, how is that funny? And we're like, okay, you win. It's not funny. The biggest, like toughest guy we know, like fucking a dude. It's not funny. I was saying, I like head butts and dudes butts, and I can't laugh at that. I gotta.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy. It's like, I don't know how this took over, but it's like. Yeah, people are not their thoughts. They're not their tweets. It's like it's like if people are not their thoughts. Like yesterday, I was thinking, I wanted to kill my wife. That doesn't mean I'm a murderer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like the bitch just needs to get off my back.
Yeah, I mean that's just everyone's been there, and you only execute on it 20-30% of the time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like if I tweeted it. I'd be done if I tweeted that people. It's crazy that we live in an era where people treat tweets as actions. It's hilarious.
Yeah, you're pretty aggressive on Twitter. This is even the Clubhouse thing because, dude, you do so much stuff, and a part of me is like that. You know what? There's like a do things you're already doing a little bit, and it's like okay, I can add probably more videos in. I can add more podcasts, but it's like, can I add another like 2 hours a night where I just go talk randomly? I'm like, dude, and I watch you guys do it, and I'm like, yo, stop it. This is gonna become mandatory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you set a pretty rigorous schedule for yourself. I mean, you're like on like a Saturday Night Live schedule. You do one a week.
Yeah, I don't do them all out 1 week though. I do like 2 at a time, and then even now I've done 4 at a time. So I kind of run it like a show like that where I block shoot, and then I kind of then I can do okay. Now I can run to do this and write, and then we're working on a movie and blah blah blah. But yeah, it's like with all that stuff, those things to me. It's like I know I'll be on it, and I've done a few where I'm like, even Lev Fur, he was like, dude, you gotta get on it. It's like it's building my following like this and this. He's got like 600 followers. Like, oh, get the fuck out of here.
You say, Lev, and also just like go back to modeling, dude. I'm not sure if this is for you. You know, you're like 23, you're hot, you got great bone structure.
Hey,
You used to be fat.
He was hot. He's 800. Used to be fat.
Oh, he blew up again?
Lev's got some meat on his bones.
Yeah.
Black guys would love him. Gay black guys would love that.
Yeah, all his Instagram photos were just like him sucking his cheeks. I mean, you know, if he could stay away from Carvel, he's a good looking kid, but some kids just can't keep their paws off of Carvel.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But he's in like every other comic. I don't know if you ever got into karate because every comedian does karate or boxing now.
I know. It's hilarious. It's like, yeah, no. Here's the deal. If you know jujitsu, I bite. So I mean, good luck with all those years of training. But I fucking bite, and that's how you beat jujitsu. I will just bite. I'll grab your dick. I'll try to put a finger in your eye. I do all the things that are illegal in MMA. I'll take you fucking out. Sign the contract, Dylan Dallas.
I want to go 6ix9ine style and get a bodyguard. That's I was actually thinking that because and then I was like, all right, I'm being crazy, but I'm doing all these like street interviews. I was like, yo, that might be like interesting because when I used to do my TV shows, we used to just like have a big crew and it was kind of safe. But now I go with this guy Johnny. He's a big guy, and I was just like, we are doing some pretty crazy stuff. I'm like, I bet I could push it a lot farther if I just hired a bodyguard for $500 an hour, like a real guy. And then it's like, then I could really push it. And then I was like, I think this is getting crazy. I don't need a bodyguard. But
yeah, I mean, you probably don't need one just because you got your brother, right?
What? Oh, my brother's a big dude. Yeah, but what am I gonna call him? Hey, I'm in New York and I'm about to get beat up. Yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah. He's a big 6'6". What is
my brother's 6'6", but he's also like a big tough guy. Yeah, and
right.
You know what the funniest part is? Because you just kind of in your brain, your big brother's just bigger than you. He was like, we were talking and he goes, it's so weird. Like I remember that I used to be able to beat you up and then it switched that like I could beat you up. But like I remember you beating up my friends and I was like, Evan, I was 20 and you were 11. Like I was a grown man and you were fucking in grade 7.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, I guess so. But you didn't remember it like that? I always think that's so funny.
It's like the psychological advantage. Like the older has that psychological advantage until it's broken, and then it's like you're like, "Fuck, what do I do now?" It's like with
the dad too, right?
Yeah.
Like, could you take your dad?
No, well, towards the end, yeah, I could beat the shit out of him towards the end. I mean, he lived till 91, so when he was in his 80s, I could fuck him up, but it would be elder abuse. But yeah, it's the psychological. It's like I remember when I was dating Jessie May, she had a Chihuahua, and we got a pit bull together. And the Chihuahua was older, and like we brought the pit bull in as like 6 months old, and the Chihuahua would just like jump up and hang on the pit bull's lip and just bite it. And the pit bull was just scared because the Chihuahua, they're like the Joe Pesci's of dogs, you know. He just had the psychological advantage until one day the pit bull just figured out like, yo, you're a fucking squeak and I'm a pit bull.
This is over.
And turned around and then the Chihuahua just never fucked with him again. But it's like, yeah, if your brother has that, you had that advantage over him until one day he looked at you and he was like, no, I'm as big as this dude. He took that one swing and you flew into a wall and it was over. The spell was broken.
You know what? I know all this stuff about you now too, but I was just thinking because like back in the day, it is funny because you posted. Like you used to do the character. What's the girl's name?
Marisa Dace.
Yeah, and I knew you before I moved here, but I saw like you posting recently, and then Corinne was like, I didn't realize that how popular that character was before. Like, so you kind of had this whole viral life before this new one, right?
Yeah, my comedy career is like a cat's. Like it was dead, then it was alive, then it was dead. Now it's probably dead again, and then I'll try to bring it back to life again.
Why is it dead again now?
I'm a fucking COVID long hauler. I'm intubated, but I'm still breathing.
Yeah, no, I feel like you guys are killing it right now.
We kill it, but we decided to end History Hyenas. So it's
I was getting shit for it. People, because I was on, I don't know if it was the last one, but it was the time you announced it, so everyone was messaging me that I broke you guys up.
Yeah, it could have been. There's so many rumors. Yeah, it was a mutual breakup. It's totally amicable. We're just doing other stuff. Who knows? We may get back in the future, but it was such a hot podcast that who knows? But LongDays, my new podcast, is doing great. It's out of the gate. It's doing great, and a lot of the Hyena fans are loving it. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, Marisa was. This was like 2000 and first I had Mr. Panos was like 2008, 9. So it was like before wokeness when people really shared things on Facebook. Like things were really viral. It was like kind of before hardcore algorithms were, doing things. So it was like, it was people going like, you have to see this, you have to see this. And yeah, Maurice hit, we shot those in our living room of our rent controlled apartment, and they just went viral. And then I toured and would do her live, and just like, we would have the best shows.
Oh, you were doing that live.
We did it live. I did a show with both of them. I would do 2 different shows. Then I brought them together. I would do both the characters, and yeah, she sold a lot of tickets in certain markets, and it was just great. It was just a character that went viral,
It's funny looking back at it now, because in now's context, you're like, some pretty aggressive, edgy stuff.
There's a warning on it when you go there now. There's a warning on it on YouTube, which is hilarious. And what's the funniest thing about that is the fan base was all Latin, Black, and gay. That was the ones who loved it. I mean, all the shows were packed with minorities, minorities and gay people. I mean, gay people would come and like dressed up in drag and like have fucking wigs. So it's funny because it's such a cancelable character, but like, they're frustrated, especially when it was big, like, and the woke movement was starting. They were probably just like frustrated because they couldn't do anything because the people they were trying to speak on behalf of fucking loved it.
It's like Britney Spears to the gays. They're trying to cancel her, and every gay guy's like, "You're not taking Britney."
No, just you can have everything else. Just fucking leave us Britney, and just leave us that AIDS medication.
Do you know what?
That's helpful to our community.
Yeah, as long as they get our PrEP.
They're not gonna get rid of that shit.
You know what I feel like helps with probably someone like you, and I think it helps and hurts, but when we're talking about, those other celebrities where you're like, they kind of became the woke thing, and a lot of these people are making bad stuff now or whatever, and Americans just can't know when to stop the thing. But also, I think, and I kind of had a similar trajectory to you of like up and down a bunch of times. And I think a lot of it is just that like contrarian thing what's in you. And even to I don't know, it sounds like you've all those things. You stop history hyenas when it's popping off. But I've even have that with stand up where it's like, if I do something and people start to think of me as like this edgy guy, and I show up and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to go clean tonight. Like, it just, my instincts are to go so against whatever they're expecting to do, just comedically.
It just, to me, that just means you're a real comedian, because I think our role, if we have one, is to always kind of keep society honest, to keep powerful people honest, arrogant people honest, ourselves honest. We're always just trying to shit on the thing that seems to be in favor, that has the advantage. We're like the perennial underdog that's always trying to check shit. And we're rascals. We don't like to go with the crowd or the group, because the mob is probably the most dangerous. It's just as dangerous as a dictator. The mob is kind of what puts the dictator in power in the first place. So we're always going against the mob, and you should kiss our fucking feet for doing so, you spoiled fucking brats, because we were the last thing standing between fucking Empress AOC. And when she puts you in her fucking gulag, just remember, we were trying to awaken society to the nightmare that was coming.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And then people sort of, they start being on that mob, but they start their thing becomes a new mob, and they forget the reason they were doing it in the first place. And they're just like, no, we're like, what we believe. And you're like, well, things changed since then. It's like, now that's no longer the tides. It's kind of the same way that, I mean, even I'm sure you have the same thing, but if I'm doing an all white room, like, I'm going to be making fun of white people exclusively. And if I'm doing a all gay room, I'm making fun of gay people, because that's the power dynamic. That's what people, you must have talked about this, but like how much people screw up, like punching down and all those concepts. Like, it's almost like there is actually truth to these things. Like, there is a dynamic that you want to be punching up. It's like, but then they bastardize the concepts and try to turn them into like fake rules, Right.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, like we said before, it's like people just go too far. Like, you're theoretically correct. You want to kind of try to punch up, because it's funnier. It's not cool to just go, hey, look at that, look at that disabled guy. I mean, yeah, we get it. But, life is not black and white. And so you can't set the rules because of what you like or don't like, or else then we're not free anymore. That's what I always think is so hilarious about the right-wing guys who are like, we're here for freedom, brother. I'm an American. I drink Hulk Hogan. I shit him out. I'm fucking red, white, and blue, brother. Budweiser every day. And then they're like, okay, I believe in freedom, but here's my caveats. You can't be gay. You can't vote to the left. Don't kiss the guy in the mouth. Don't eat sushi. And vegans are all faggots. You're like, okay, so that's not freedom. You just want the world to be your tastes, you hypocrite. Freedom is you're over here fucking going to see a Ryan Long show, and then there's two guys butt fucking at the next club, and you're totally fine, and you might even be friends. And that's freedom. It's like, hey, you're into that shit, I'm into that shit. We all kind of figure out a way to just kind of understand that it's a free country, and that's cool. But people are too fucking shitty, and that's why they need us to remind them that AOC's got fucking natty bombs, and I can't wait for her to be empress, because I will fucking stare at those tits all day. And I'm already a married guy, so I'm ready for a dictator. I will not fight. I'm not going to march. I will just fucking do what you say, because I'm already obeying my wife. So AOC, just fucking motorboat me, bitch, with your proverbial wokeness. I'm ready. Take me down.
Could be a threesome. We get AOC. If you're going to be progressive, get in there with that.
Dude, me and you are going to be cellmates in her. Once she sees your skits and she catches my characters, we're going to be cellmates.
Yeah, once the resistance starts rounding up comics.
Yeah.
That's the other one. The people like that makes it, when the bastardize of comedy, when you talk about like representation, all that stuff, you go, yeah, but there's more groups than just races and like genders. It's like the same thing you just said, left and right. Like that's also representation. Or, if I'm working class and they're not, or this guy's a trucker, like when you go to the thing, if you are a musician and you're like, oh, I'd like to see songs about music. Like there's more to people than just their like race and their gender. I mean, unless you're a girl, and in my mind, you're just that. But if you're a guy, there's more too. It's a complicated pie.
There's exceptions to every rule. Yeah. So that's why I love like the white people, the straight white people, as like, that's like the boogeyman now. It's like white people, pretending white people are a monolith is so hilarious. Like you're ignoring a few world wars where just white people slaughtered each other by the millions. And I'll tell you, it's just white people do not care about each other at all. There's no white unity. White unity happens with like these small little groups of white supremacists, which hilariously are always like the worst representatives of white supremacy. It's like, if you ever see the guys who are like, whites are superior, you're like, I'm not buying you. If you're the car telling me that you're better, that's like the fucking super fan trying to tell me something. I'm like, if you're superior, you're not doing a good job selling it, Bubba. You got 3 teeth, and your wife is your sister, and your dog's off a leash, and it's running around in the yard. You're breaking a lot of community rules, and I don't buy it.
There's the like two types of white people. We're the worst or we're the best, and both are bad. And like the we're the worst, they're like, when you see those people too, like white people we're the friggin' worst, and you're like, I mean, you specifically are making a good case for this. That like the darky white guy, white people are so bad, and you're like, I mean, yeah, if I just saw this, I'd probably be like, yeah, you're right. You do seem to be like an annoying breed of white person.
Right. And it's like, down with the patriarchy, and it's like, who's paying for you to go to NYU? My dad, but down with all the other patriots.
Yeah, let's keep that one. Hey, what's something that you would say that having like career ups and downs for like, you said like 3 times or whatever, what would be something that you say now that you kind of that screwed up on the first couple that you feel like you're getting right now and you know a little better?
Yeah, the industry is an absolute mirage, and you can say anything you want about them. It doesn't matter. Get your fan base. The internet, the entertainment business has exploded into a million pieces, and everyone mistakes their piece as the whole. And that's when I know, like, if one of my friends is getting arrogant when they're walking around like they're Matt Damon, and they think that I'm like, none of us are Matt Damon anymore. We're all touring bands. We have our fans, and it's the greatest era to be a comedian ever. Just accept it. Stop fighting against it. Stop going, fuck these internet guys. Really? Do you want to go back to when a booker who used to be a bartender controlled your fucking fate? Do you want to go back to those days where there's 3 fucking liberal arts women who are sitting in an office going, you know what? This is what makes me laugh. Or do you want to be able to build it yourself and be Ryan Long and fucking go and sell out and make a living and not care about COVID and not wear masks and put us in danger because he's Canadian. And Canadians don't play by the fucking rules because they have free health care. They take their fucking health for granted because they know the government's going to cover their ass.
Oh, they're playing by the rules. Dude, you have to get locked in a hotel if you even want to go back there. By the way, I don't think I told you this, but I got the most aggressive message. I think I might talk about it here, but I got a guy that said, he goes, "Oh, I was really enjoying you on History Hyenas. I thought you were really funny until you talked about going to Tampa and having that big show or whatever. Now I think you should fucking die. Fuck you. You're a beat." And it went on and on. And I go, whoa. This guy goes, "I hope your family dies." It was like the most aggressive message I've ever seen.
Yeah, and then if you ask him about the CCP in China, he'd be like, "Don't say that. They're good people." But Ryan Long, fuck you.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
Yeah.
That's their culture.
Yeah, but don't say anything about, Chinese, where the virus comes from. Don't fucking say anything like that about what they're putting, certain people in concentration camps, or they just like outlawed gay marriage or some shit. Just don't. They just took don't say that. But Ryan Long, you didn't wear a mask, you fucking piece of shit.
I talked about this last episode, but the Prime Minister of Japan said that we're thinking about letting women at the meetings as long as they don't talk.
I mean, kid's got a point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
I mean, in the free market of ideas, I think that one might win.
And he's talking about Asian women. Imagine if he was talking about white women. or Latino women.
Yeah, then it would be. Yeah, that's funny that he's saying that about Japanese women. It's like how much less could they talk?
That's chatty to him.
Jesus Christ, their silence is bothering you. Just tell them to bow more.
I feel like the one thing that I was thinking about is that the idea that everyone gives you advice, and even if their advice is right, it's like wrong for you. So it's like that idea that even now I get so much people in America being like, "Oh, do this, do that." And you go, even if you're right, I might not want to do that because it's not the right thing for me. And then I'll be going down a path and you're like, maybe you were right that it helped me get bigger, but I didn't want to do that. So now I'm the clubhouse guy because everyone told me I had to do it. Once again, I will give the disclaimer that I will 100% be on Clubhouse doing these chats. You know what I'm going to do on Clubhouse? I'm going to find a way to pre-record them.
You just pretend like you're live. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Deep
the
fake.
best era. If you want to do what you want, this is the best era. You have a chance. You have a shot. It's like the internet allows you a shot to actually do what you want and try it and be successful at it. So it's like that's the thing. When I strayed from that, because I had my early success on the internet, and then I went and I took the money, did some TV shows and stuff like that, and made great money, and bought a house or whatever with that, saved that money. But do I have regrets? Like, did that set me back? I think so, because I think at the end of the day, it's the fans that matter, your fan base, where your power comes from. And that's why I said you could say anything you want, because if you build a fan base, don't worry, those opportunities will come knocking because they need your fan base more than you think they do.
It's kind of like the only job where people do that too. Because if you think of a guy who started his little like contracting company and he's got, maybe got like 2 trucks, he's got 4 employees, and he's kind of running his own little business. It's not like in the back of his mind, like, I hope a bigger contracting company hires me. I can stop doing my own. It's the only thing where you like build up this whole business in hopes that like you can just never do it anymore and just get this other thing. And dad can sort of take care of you.
It's true. It's kind of true. It's funny like that. Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing to get. There's only something to build right now. So it's like, if you're a comic starting out, just like build something, build a podcast, do skits like you like skits like you. It's like, it's like, do whatever, get on Clubhouse, go, whatever it is. I don't know, fucking take, figure it out. But
even the logistics of it. Like you probably work a lot, but it's such a different thing when it's your time. Even like the idea of, people always talk about the Saturday Night Live thing or whatever. And I'm like, I would imagine like getting up Monday and then I take a subway to, I don't know, where is it, in Times Square or whatever. And then I go to that building and I'm like, how is that better exactly than what I'm doing? And you're like, well, maybe like you get to go to the Oscars. And I go, I don't care about the Oscars. I care what these guys think. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And, it used to be the only thing you could say is like, oh, well, they make more money. It's like, that's not true anymore either.
That's the big thing that changed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the big thing that changes. Like, that's not true either. All you got to do is go take a peek at Tim Dillon's Patreon. You're like, oh,
I try not to.
Yeah, I try not to either. Yeah, things have changed. Yeah, it's changed. You go check out Schultz's studio in Miami. You know, you look at your shows. I see you posting. It's like your seats are full. It's like things have changed. So it's like not only is there a lifestyle advantage to it that you get to do what you want, but now seems to be a monetary incentive as well.
Yeah, I was talking about this. Yes, I did the. What do you got going on over there?
Oh, that's just I got my food taste is warming up my motorcycle. So I'm going to Italy after this.
Come on, you're not? Get out of here.
No, I just feel like
I'm stupid.
I just feel like that sound just goes like I should be in Italy.
The vibrator.
Like, when fucking Me Too gets to Italy, it's just gonna crush their whole culture. I guess I can't talk to women anymore. Like if I can't grab a German's girl, like what's the point of being Italian if you can't grab a German tourist's ass without her permission?
Leaving all your knuckle hairs on her butt for evidence. Yeah. I was saying though, the idea that it's funny because, you know, even like Hollywood, they don't know how to make stars anymore. Like they used to be like, oh, we can make a star. So I'm like, because they threw away their vouch so much at the same time that people kind of do, like Rogan can make a star, like the same way that, like I was saying, these young guys, the Nelk Boys, it's like they just like signed a guy, brought him into their crew and got him to 1 million followers. Now he's super famous. And it was like, these idiots on the internet are doing what they used to be able to do. And they're like, we'll make this person a star. And everyone's like, you suck our dicks if you think we're going to buy that person as a star.
Right. Yeah, pretty soon it's going to get ridiculous and we're going to have to go back to the industry. That's for sure. You can't keep the people in control for too long.
Yeah, the people have a little too much control right now. That's
because if we start getting too much power, then we'll all start making our wives famous. You know, whatever pussy we're whipped on, we'll be like, hey, let's make her famous.
I've been with girls like that where they're like kind of out there for the clout. Like, yo, you're not gonna retweet my thing. I go, this cannot be our dynamic. Your wife isn't in the industry, right?
No, thank God. Yeah, she's far away from the industry.
And you've done that before, though.
I've done that before. Yeah, it can work. I mean, I've seen a few that work, but generally it's like two people who are going, look at me, two narcissists. That's not a recipe for success generally.
I don't feel like it's the move. And also the other reason I feel like it's the one reason that I kind of always think is like you're so in control of what you say and what you do. And it's like, you know, and whatever, maybe we get out of control and say the wrong things, but at the end of the day, like you're accountable for it. Whereas when you're dating someone, they're out there saying stuff that, you know, if your girl does this and this, everyone's kind of making fun of you or whatever it is, right? Like if you're, like, how much did Kanye West get killed over whatever Kim Kardashian did and whatever, maybe he has more money, but just from like being a comic standpoint, it's like, it's just an extra thing. It's like having a mom that's like really present, that's always doing wacky stuff at your school. And you're like, Mom, you have to stop. Like, this is hard enough as is to, you know, my friend group is savage and you showing up with your tits out is not helping.
Right. Yeah. You go, all you guys are all watching in the back of the room and she starts doing jokes about the guy she's dating who has a little dick. You're like, Jesus Christ, you know.
Yeah, dude, I've seen that too where the girls being like, oh yeah, I'm dating this guy. He's fucking so crappy at sex. He's such a weirdo. And the guy's standing there like, ready to go, honey. You go,
good set. You know, that line about my small dick's really working.
Have some respect.
Yeah, hey, you should tag it with this. Yeah, I also don't eat pussy that good.
Giving it tags. Yeah, you should mention the time that I came quick and nothing even came out. Yeah. Remember that time I actually got cum in my mouth? There, you could use that.
Yeah. It was real funny when I caught you cheating and then I groveled back because I'm obsessed with you.
Because I'm obsessed with you. Oh shit. Yeah. What did you think? How's the married and kids affected your thing? Because you did it, I feel like, in my mind, when I put your trajectories, like it feels like you did it at the right time, even though it's late. But for doing all this shit, do you feel more stable?
It's so great. It's the greatest. Yeah, I mean, it's cliche, but I'm not wearing a wire, and I know I have to say it because it's my kid and my wife. But yeah, it's just, you know, you can't, you know, life. You get to a point where you've kind of done being younger, and then so like having responsibilities, like adult responsibilities, is kind of refreshing, especially when you're a comic, because we're so about ourselves and so narcissistic and always trying to do things for us. And it's nice to not to think about yourself third or second or third, you know? So it's a good thing. Cause I mean, it balances you out, I think, as a comic, because we're always thinking about ourselves, and that can't be too good.
It might balance out your act a little bit too, even just having anyone you're caring for or whatever, because when you stop thinking about yourself and get out of that, it's sort of like, then you just actually think about jokes or whatever the thing, like you're just not, it's not about like me and my career. You're just like, it just becomes like, you know, think of the jokes, do the thing. And you, probably remove yourself from a little bit from it. That can help too.
That's a great point. I never thought of it that way, but I think you're right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel that for sure.
You take your ego out of the thing, which can be probably positive.
Fucking ego is the worst. It's the fucking, the gift and the curse of humanity.
Yeah, definitely.
But
what was it?
Yeah.
What's the new Rogan studio like? Because I felt like you probably should have done that earlier, but like you went and had like an awesome episode and everyone loved it. But what's the new studio in Austin like since you're going there?
I mean, it's real funny because the old studio looks like it's in Texas and the new studio looks like it's in LA. I mean, the new studio it kind of looks like a fucking fancy sushi restaurant. You know, and
oh, you mean I've seen the studio, obviously, yeah, I meant is it a compound? I was just at Tim Pool's yesterday. This guy's got a compound with like a half pipe and all that. It's one of those, the thing you're looking at the Patreon, like I kind of see that operation. You leave being like,
right,
these guys that's kind of cooler than what I've been doing. Come back to the one bedroom in New York and you go, this guy's a fucking half pipe in his house. Yeah, but
well, that's because you live in New York. I mean, you go back to fucking not Canada because the taxes are too high. But you go, go to any other state, you'll live. No,
I'm from Toronto's expensive. Toronto's like the same as here, at minus the exchange rate. But the same thing, like my rent here, whatever. Someone owns a huge house in wherever the hell,
right.
I don't know what's a good reference. Iowa. I'm still
Iowa's
in the
perfect.
places.
Yeah. I think it's just maybe Matthew McConaughey's there. That's the only one. I think he's got a ranch there, or some Idaho or Iowa. But yeah, it wasn't a compound. It's not crazy. It's not crazy at all. It's kind of discreet, and I mean, he's just the coolest dude in the world, man. He's just like you're just talking to a comic, and he's so nice. He's like just a benign thing, kind of. He's got, obviously, he definitely is he could make you, and it's great that there's a comic that does it. And also what's great about him is he's not looking to do that. Like he just does what he wants. Like he has on who he wants when he wants. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Like he just hit me up on Twitter. It was like, "You gonna be in Austin?" Of course, I was like, "Yeah." I just answered, "Yeah." I wasn't gonna be like, "Oh no, I'm not actually."
I have 9 dates in Austin, and they're all flexible.
I was like, "I live there now. Whatever you want, I'll be there." But
it's like with the girl where she's like, "Are you gonna be at the bar tonight?" And you're like, "Yes."
yes, I will be. It's funny when people critique him too, because it's such a hollow critique, because it's so obvious, like who he has on or whatever. It's like he has on who he wants to talk to.
Right.
Like that's why he'll be like 4 MMA guys in a row, then one comedian will have on 6 times, then he'll have on some left-wing thinker, some right-wing thinker, an astronaut, a bus driver. He just I feel like he does exactly the guest he wants that day. He's just like, I want to talk to this dude. And he just goes and he does it. And that's so there's no philosophy behind it. There's no taste making behind it. It's just like, if he meets a chef, I bet you he's a dude who he goes to a restaurant, like, you gotta be in my pocket. Because he treats it the way it was made. It was an organic thing he made in his house, and it's still that thing. Like, there's no booker. It's just him and Jamie. You walk in and you do the fucking podcast. The only difference is there's millions of people listening, but it's no different than what I'm doing right now with you.
I know it is. And I feel like, you were talking about criticism, even guys, there's, and probably on a smaller scale, anyone like you gets it too, but some people will start to be like, oh, this isn't as aggressive. He's not doing as crazy stuff as it was before, or he's not saying, he's watching what he says more, or whatever it is. And you go, I mean, if you're the biggest guy, bringing on a bunch of people that say wild shit, that's how the ecosystem should work. It's like, it's like there is some degree of the age thing too. It's like, if you've been doing this forever, and it's like, you bring on the people that kind of have these interesting perspectives and let them say that. I think that's, kind of, there's an honor in being that role in the ecosystem as well. Not that he doesn't have aggressive opinions or whatever.
No, totally. I mean, that's his thing. He's like a facilitator. I mean, he's
100%.
he lets you talk. He has you like there's nobody better. I don't know if there's anyone better or who could have that range of discussions with that range of people
and care about them. Yeah.
Yeah, and like keep the conversation going, or like make a conversation with the astrophysicist kind of tolerable. I mean, those guys are not fucking born entertainers.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a real skill, and it seems real egoless because he makes it about them.
Well,
He's
that's
like,
what I kind of look at it like the rap thing a little bit always when you go, the guys that I don't like, and I don't know if I like this guy or don't like this guy, but obviously, like, I think Eminem was cool. But I see there's certain people like that they're 30 years into their career and their attitude is still like, I'm the friggin' best, and these new guys don't know how to do it. And then the people that I kind of think it looked good getting older or whatever, they're like, yo, who's these new guys? They'll bring them on and I'll be the legend that kind of interviews them. And I kind of always think that's like a better way to do it. And then it's like, oh, why don't you do this? And it was like, even with like I do this like on the street stuff or whatever. When I was 20, I used to go and just get kicked out of places and do this, and now it's a little different. But I would find the new guy. I like looking at the new 20-year-old guys. I go, check this guy out. This guy's freaking wild because I'm not 20 anymore, right? And then there's the another version of what that looks like, and then there's the 70-year-old guy that kind of comes out once every month and does his like with a one set, and everyone's like, oh, this guy's back. And there's such a graceful way to do it. I think certain people just make like the right moves that seem classy. That's the word that I'm looking for. Class act.
Right. Yeah. It's called aging gracefully. It's what Madonna's not doing is what you're saying.
Yeah. They're trying to be on the new thing. Like, oh, that it's funny because Madonna was a perfect example of what we were talking about before, where it's kind of, she was very like, she was kind of a modern feminist at the time, and probably whatever you thought of her, probably did a lot to push the Ovaltine window of what women could do or whatever. But then now the whole thing's changed, and she's just kind of doing her same old tricks that she was doing then without like any context of what it is. And now it's just, you're like, oh, screw the man, and you agree with every single institution in the world.
Yeah, and she's also still trying to look the same. And it's like, look, you're it's not going to, I mean, I get a little work maybe being done, but I mean, once you look like you're just constantly in a wind tunnel, it's a problem. Everyone knows you're in your 60s. You got to embrace, the change. Nobody lives forever.
Yeah, you guys had a good philosophy when I was on the podcast. I'm sure you've said it before, but it might be the Michael Jordan thing too, when you're like, I mean, Republicans buy tickets too, so like, who gives a shit? I'm not here to, pick a side of, I'm just trying to do comedy, and the more the merrier.
Yeah, I mean, activist comedians always annoy me the most because it's like you're pick a lane, pick a lane. Like, are you here to change the world, or are you here to be a comedian, which is always kind of make fun of people and check everyone. I mean, they're kind of like opposed a little bit, because once you pick a side, you're not really a comic anymore. You're an advocate. You're it's a touchy thing. There's a thin line. It's like, of course you can care about things, have your opinions, whatever, your personal opinions, but like the job description is not really to be an advocate or an activist. The job description is to go for laughs first, or to be a rascal and piss people off and just keep throwing wrenches in what the dominant zeitgeist is, to make sure that zeitgeist is honest. So yeah, this whole kind of clapter shit, it is not really comedy, man. It's like, if you want to do that, fine, fucking, because it's like, if you want to do that, go in the field. That my generation before the internet, if you want to be a journalist, you had to go to Iraq. You couldn't just write about Iraq. If you wanted to write about comedians, like if you were an open mic level journalist, which the people who write about comedians make them, that's like the open mic of journalism. Like, that's where you start out. That's the lowest shit. It's like, what's going on at the stand? It's like, let's send the fucking 22-year-old idiot to go talk about fucking what Dave Smith's up to. So it's like, if you're gonna write about that, you at least gotta go into the club, right? You can't. I mean, nowadays people just write these scathing articles from their fucking underwear in the safety of their own home. They haven't spent 1 minute in the field, and I'm supposed to take what they say as fact. It's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, you know what? There too, because the reason why I think too, when you talk about like the activism and comedy doesn't go well that good, it's because they have different things that make them good. Like activism doesn't, if you want to be nuanced and like really get to the bottom of an issue, that's better for comedy. But nuance actually hurts activism. Like no one's, you're not going to get your cause more heard by being like, well, it's kind of complicated. Like that's not how you start revolutions. That's not how you get people kind of rallying behind you. It's like simple phrases that kind of oversimplifications and
right. And how, the funny thing is never the right thing. I mean, the class clown wasn't funny because he said the right thing at the right time. He was funny because he said the wrong thing at the right time, however you want to phrase it. It's like, that's your activism is kind of diametrically opposed to comedy. Comedy is about saying the wrong thing. You don't go, hey, you want to hear something hilarious? Racism's wrong. And everyone's like, yeah, yeah, it is. It's like that. No, what's funny is going like, hey, let me tell you how racism's great. And it's like, that's comedy, and that's, people understand that you're being ironic, but at the same time, you're keeping everything honest and being like, are these anti-racist people going a little too? So it just keeps everyone, you're a rascal, always fucking mixing it up. We're rascals. We're fucking supposed to be rascals.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I remember when Aaron Berg, this is like a few years ago, he was debating this like super.
Next guy coming to the stage, absolutely hilarious. This next guy, hold on, let me put my cigar down. This next guy coming to the stage, absolutely hilarious.
That's a pretty good Berg, yeah.
Yeah, give it up for Paul Verzi, everybody.
He did. He had this girl on, and I always like remember this line. He was like, "You and your people are comedy ISIS, lady," and I was just like, "That's so funny." Called her comedy ISIS on like a Sirius XM interview.
Yeah, they're like good terrorists. They're there to like bomb. They fucking want you to bomb.
Hey, when you started History Hyenas, were you really into history? Was that kind of that was the deal was that you don't know it that well?
No, I majored in it in college, and I go to museums. It's like one of my favorite things. And Chris, one of his favorite things. And hyenas was an animal I was just always obsessed with because of how unique it was. And so we just organically kind of came up with those two things, and like, let's do that. And then we just thought it would be fun if we go to like history. Like at the beginning, we were going like to museums, and he would fart, and we'd laugh, and then we'd talk about it. And we went on history tours. We go to like Civil War battlefields, and I'd take a piss on sacred grounds, and we'd talk about it. So it was stuff like that. And so no, it was our passion, but obviously we're not good historians.
It seems like you are bad. But I just saw you posted. You're like, the Greeks were slave to Muslims for hundreds of years, right? And I was like,
well, that's true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, the Ottomans. They conquered Greece. They conquered the Balkans. Like that's the reason why some places are, in Kosovo they're Muslim, but they used to be Christian. They were converted. A lot of places like that. I think Croatians too. Maybe if I have that right, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Albanians, a lot of them are Muslim. They conquered Greece for 400 years. So my grandfather was technically born a slave on what used to be a Greek island called Imbros, but when he was there was a Greek. They kicked all the Greeks out, but there was still like a persecuted Greek minority that lived there. But the Turks controlled that whole area. So yeah. That's true. A lot of people don't know that because it's Islamophobic.
Do the people like in Greek right now, do they bring that up? Like, is that a topic? Like,
they hate Turks. Like, yeah, Turks are like the way black people hate white people, and they have reason to, is the way that Greeks hate Turks. It's just like it wasn't the same type of slavery that happened in America or the New World. With the Middle Passage type of slavery, but it was slavery. I mean, Greeks were second-class citizens, and the local sultans could do whatever they want to you, and they did. I mean, they raped, they did whatever they wanted. They controlled Greece. It was ruled until we had Greek independence. We fought them and kicked them out, but it was around 400 years of slavery.
That's a lot. That's Danny has this joke where he talks about how, like, I guess it's Rosh Hashanah is where the Jews get, like, a bunch of white people get together and talk about how they were slaves 10,000 years ago, and they're like, never again. And he's like, yeah, I mean, no shit, never again. White people in America.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a chip on their shoulder about it. What was your top topic was your number one that you were interested in?
We had some classic episodes. What I think the funnest one might have been one of the most recent was our Bernie Madoff episode. It was so interesting to learn about that dude and how great a thief he was. I mean, he was like the GOAT of thieves, like just the way to imagine he robbed from the most successful, shrewd, brilliant people. And like they didn't suspect the thing, and he got away with it for like 50, so long.
Right.
And
What kind of stuff did he do?
Oh, dude, he was just like, he would go to every baseball game. This is what he was great at. He was so great. Like, he's a con man, right? So con man, it comes from the word, it comes from confidence man. So
Really?
it's like, it comes from a guy who used to walk in and he would go to rich people and he would be wearing like a 3-piece suit. And he was like, I bet you won't let me borrow your watch. And he would like challenge their ego and their confidence, and like, and then they would give him the watch, and they would disappear with their watch. So it's all confidence, and it's all pretending to be the opposite you are. And Bernie Madoff was the best at making himself feel exclusive. So he would turn a lot of people down, and so he created this vibe about him, like, in order to invest with
If you
Bernie
want to get
Madoff.
conned by me, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to be, it's amazing. He was stealing your money, but you were like, people were trying to get in. He was like Soho House, and it was like they were competing to have him steal their money, and because he was like, he was like, had this reputation that he was the only guy who could give you this 1% return, guaranteed even in recessions, and because of this allure and how nice he was, he remembered every birthday. He called you, he went to funerals, he spoke on the phone with you for 40 minutes, he went to dinner with you. And then to be able to keep the mathematics in your head with your accountant about the Ponzi scheme, because you're basically stealing from your richer clients who won't notice it to pay the lesser richer ones that might. It's like a brilliant mastermind thing that he perpetuated for so long without them knowing. He stole perfectly. Until just like he stole so good, people raised red flags. Like, how's this guy providing 1% returns when the whole economy's shit and everyone's losing money? And no red flags. If it wasn't for this one guy, his name was Morkopoulos, who happened to be a Greek, who just like hounded him and figured it out. But everyone else was going. He ingratiated himself to the committees, to all the groups that watch for corruption. He was like on all the boards. Like his brilliance is so underappreciated, and we really went into detail. That episode was one of our last, and it was probably our last like really good one. And that was fascinating to me to learn about how much he stole.
I love a good con man. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he's great, dude. Great.
Before I let you go, you know what? I was going to ask you one more thing, but so the Austin thing, you are moving to Austin potentially, but right now you're thinking you might kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, to start out, I might just go and spend a lot of time there.
That
but yeah,
never
the goal
lasts,
is
though, right? You always say you're going to do that, and then you go to one place and you just stay wherever you like better, right?
Right. Yeah, it's just with the wife and the baby, I'll figure it out. But I love what's going on down there. The scene,
Is it great?
It's great. It seems great. I mean,
you and Tim looked like you were having a ball.
Yeah, I mean, it seems great. I mean, who knows? It looks like New York's going to take a little while to come back. So, I mean, and the beautiful thing about the internet is you don't have to be in New York and LA anymore. Yeah, you can go anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we're going to Miami for a month right now, me and Danny, and we're testing the waters, dude. I mean, it's not the best deal. I'm still paying my rent here, and the whole thing's there's a lot of leakage in my system right now, money wise. But I'm kind of like, yeah, it's true. I mean, if one of those places pops off, like, we're pretty mobile. Like, there's no strings holding me down. So, but
you could do it from anywhere. You could do what you do from anywhere.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say before you go is give me your thoughts on Andrew Cuomo and the situation.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, cases are going up in New York right now.
Are they? Oh, dude.
No,
That's
I meant
bad news for. Oh yeah, the cases.
I meant his sexual assault charges. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's getting killed, dude. He went to Public Enemy like that.
It's so funny. It's so funny now, and it puts his brother in such a weird position. I mean, he was like, "I'm not covered." Yeah, he's going, and I love it. He's like, "I can't cover it because I love my brother." It's like you had no problem covering it when everyone loved him. When you guys were fucking giggling. That's how dishonest the media is now. You guys were fucking giggling it was such a softball interview. They shouldn't have allowed it then. Now they're not going to allow it because of nepotism. It's like it should have been obvious back then that you shouldn't be interviewing your fucking brother who's the governor if you're a journalism. But journalism in this country is really what's behind what's ripped this country apart. And there's nobody to check them. There's no consequences. They can continue to lie. They can continue to, just fucking shit on your reputation with no evidence. No. They can do whatever they want, and because journalism is. And then they go, "Whoa, free press, free press." It's like, yeah, dude, but you can't yell fire in a fucking crowded movie theater. So there should be like funds where you could sue them for free. Like if you have a case, there should be like a government fund where you're like, I want to fucking sue.
Some Peter Thiel can start.
Yeah, it's got to be some consequences. Like you can't just say whatever about anybody. You can't do that. You can't just fucking do that. And the only recourse people have is suing. So people got to fucking start suing. The problem is suing when you're not the Washington Post or the New York Times. You can't afford to sue them. So it's like there's got to be. There needs to be some sort of fairness doctrine that used to be that the FCC had, or there has to be some consequences, some like legal standard for truth. That doesn't mean like, hey, you can't say lies or editorialize, but it's got to be called an editorial. If you're writing an article, you can't just be like a not accredited journalist, just kind of like, this is what you're like, what's your research? There has to be consequences to that. If you're purporting to be an objective journalist, there has to be consequences if you editorialize. And it used to be like an editorial section and they were separated. So you knew. And now it's like everyone's editorializing. Everybody's doing fiction because it sells better.
It might be sort of the solutions that way too, where you go, you're saying like, how can we fix this? And you're like, no, let this fucking shit die. And that is the news is all fractured off. But yeah, maybe there's a benefit of having an actual news station that doesn't lie.
I mean, look, the mafia's gone, but you got to admit, like the mafia not being here is causing a lot of problems because there's just some people that, the mafia would just put them in a ditch and they would send a message and people wouldn't do it. There's some people who just need to be put in the dirt tub. You got to just put them in a fucking dirt tub and give them a little bit of a fucking bubble bath. But you can't do that anymore. But, there was some positives to that, too. It stopped these fucking maniacs who, trying to ruin people's families and careers and shit like that without any fucking, it's like you can't do that unless you have evidence, hard evidence. You can't do that. Yeah, even if you think a guy's a dirtbag or a girl's a dirtbag, you can't just write a full fucking article with the weight of a whole newspaper and their history behind you just because somebody said something. It's like, you got, this goes back to the thing. It's like, get in the field, do some homework. Like you're just writing this from your house on your computer.
Harassment.
Yeah. Fuck that,
Yeah. That would be great if some of these Silicon Valley guys, cause they're always out there, we're fighting the culture war. It's like, okay, we'll fight it with $1 billion fund to sue journalists for people that were defamed. How about that instead of doing another appearance on, whatever, like
that's a great idea.
Carlson.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Awesome, dude. Okay, thank you for coming on, man. Much appreciated. Yannis LongDays is the new podcast, and I saw right out of the gates you had huge numbers, so it was already popping off, dude. Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Yannis LongDays, but the podcast is called LongDays with Yannis. Either LongDays with Yannis Pappas. Just Google it or find it on iTunes or
the YouTube channel.
Yeah,
and then iTunes.
You can watch it on the YouTube. Yeah.
Where are you going next? Live days.
I'm going to Dallas, Soul Joel and Royersford that we're all doing. It's a fucking my good old friend Soul Joel. I'm so happy for him. He's got a comedy club there and he's been killing it this pandemic with the heated dome. So I'll be there March 3rd.
New Brunswick was awesome. I did the Stress Factory heated dome.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. He does it right.
It was the first time I did one of those that was actually heated. The other heated domes were igloos. I was freezing to death.
Yeah, no, Vinny does it right. So yeah, I'm at Royersford, PA at Soul Joel's March 13th. And then Yeah, March 20th, I'm at Gotham. I'm doing a virtual live comedy event. So you can get tickets for Gotham, limited capacity, but then you can buy tickets and watch from anywhere in the world. I'm doing all my characters. Like, I don't know if I'm going to dress up and do all that shit.
Oh,
but
you're going to do the
I'll
whole,
do it.
yeah. That's a better way to
I'll do
do
the whole.
a Zoom thing. Like if you're doing a virtual thing, that is probably a better thing to do because the stand-up thing virtual is a little tough.
Totally. And you can get tickets on YannisPappasComedy.com, and then Dallas in April, and Side Splitters in September. And I'm adding dates now. And, I'm going to go bug chase and see if I can get that Brazilian strand of COVID.
I honestly, that's good to hear that you're not like, because I a little bit was feeling like I moved to New York and then I was like, oh, everyone here is really cool. And then you guys are like all leaving. And I was like, okay, so people are kind of not all leaving. And I'm like, am I crazy here? So, okay, Yannis, thank you very much, brother.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me, man.